Hello, this is Dirty 20 Gaming. My name is Kevin, and these amazing and wonderful people have agreed to come and play a game with me tonight, and that makes me happy. So let's talk to the amazing people that made me happy. Let's start with the one that's been with us the longest, which would be Solar Dasher.
Hi guys.
You've been here since before the beginning of Dirty 20 Gaming. So where else can we find you? What else are you doing?
I'm looking to continue working on my stream. I haven't streamed for a couple weeks, and that's my bad. But hopefully, I can get in maybe a stream sometime this weekend. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm looking to start up another game eventually,
Mm-hmm.
and hoping to participate in a different one sometime in the future as well.
Yes. Oh, it's you. Welcome to the "but we can't talk about it yet" club.
Yeah.
I think next in seniority, wrong word, but you know what I mean, is Primus. Tell us about yourself. Where can we find you when you're not here?
Hello, I'm back once again on Dirty 20 after series of very unfortunate events in previous ones, but usually you can find me on Tuesdays. I play over on Charlie Xavier's stream. I play June Seabreeze there. A lovely character. I hope you guys check us out there. And I may be eventually doing more things here eventually.
More things we can't talk about yet. Go ahead and pop your links into the chat for the folks,
Yeah.
for the fine people. And I saved you for last because you're the newest. Sean, thank you so much for joining us. We met, compared to these guys, fairly recently on a mutual friends Discord and had a wonderful time there. So thank you for joining us tonight. And where else can we find you?
Well, every now and then I do some one shots with a friend of mine over at Lost Haven Gaming, Andy. He's got me in a lot of games where, yes, I usually die, so that's why they're usually one shot. So, but he's taking very much pride in the fact that I think he's killed me almost every time. So, but
Yes.
other than that, just trying to get. I basically did my charity games I was doing for years.
Yes.
So Dells for Donors. It kind of had to go, with COVID, kind of
Yep.
killed it. So,
Yeah.
but working with one of my local game stores, there's some fingers crossed hope that we might be able to resurrect it.
Oh,
So that's what we're trying to work towards this next. So trying to get that back in to
oh.
hopefully pump some life back in and get some money back in for charities.
It's a great cause, and I hope you the best with the absolute best with that. I guess that comes to me. We are 5 nights a week now over here at the Dirty 20 Gaming. So pop in most nights, 6 p.m. Pacific time. If we're not here, then too many people couldn't show up because it's role playing and that happens. So everybody showed up tonight, so let's play. But first, the credits where the credits are due. Our virtual tabletop tonight, which interestingly you guys won't really be seeing if you're watching the stream, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's Roll20 because our players are using it. Also Hero Forge, which was the image in the intro video. Pixabay for the background information behind me. And if you're not really good at reading Old English, it's actually the Magna Carta. That's actually, pardon me, that's actually from Wikipedia. The Pixabay image is, I forget. Oh, from the behind him in the intro video. Professional. So it was looking good for a second there. It was really looking good. Anyway, the system we're playing, the system I have changed. I change every system we play, but I have changed this one so little, which I guess is kind of a compliment from me, is Stealing Stories for the Devil by Monty Cook Games. It is an incredible system, as you are about to see, and we're hype training. This is weird. This doesn't usually happen here. So let us hype, let us train, and with that. Oh, one more thing. Content warning. It was in the front. It was in the intro video. I'm going to say it again now. There's an NPC in this that swears a lot using modern and sometimes archaic language. By archaic, I mean interesting swears and not just the stuff you hear every day. You've been warned. On a nondescript street lost in a sameness of dreary, nondescript streets. An actinic blue flash lights up the main floor of one of the identical brownstones for just one single pop moment. As the smell of ozone spreads through the dark, cloudless night, a rustling can be heard inside that flat. A lace curtain is pulled aside, and a huge, red-haired, red-bearded man peers out. A ripple of sparks passes over his long coat, waistcoat, kilt, white socks, and black leather shoes before it grounds out into the carpet. The clothes he's wearing struggle to contain his immense physique. He sighs deeply, shakes his big, shaggy head from side to side, and says, "By Allah, bastard offspring of Bonnie Prince Charlie, not London!" Curtain closes for a second and opens back up. He looks out again and says, "Oh, and by his legitimate heirs if it isn't the 2020s. Ah, feck!" Shakes himself like a dog, and a few more residual sparks fly off. "Well, they'll be arriving soon. They'd best be slipping into something a bit more comfortable." Drops the curtain again and rubs his hands together. It sounds like sandpaper at war with itself. He grins. "Right then, off we go." Outside, the nondescript street is empty. No one saw a thing. Now our characters. Mick, Ted, and Blake. You wake up one morning and it's like an itch. But it's magnetic. It's pulling you. It's attractive and it's annoying. The desire is so strong that it feels like the earth is tilted. Every time you try and walk away from it, it's like walking uphill. The only easy thing to do is go towards it. Something about it is promising. Let's start with Blake.
Okay.
Adventure, trouble. What is it that this tempts you with?
Adventure.
Okay.
Thrill seeking.
Blake, tell us a little bit about yourself and why that might be the case, why you might be looking for adventure.
A little taller than an average person. Still trying to figure out their way in the world. Still trying to figure out who they are themselves.
Yep.
Not really sure, which way to swing. Hopefully, they're looking for an adventure as a way to try and help them come into a sense of themselves and find out who they are and what they wish to do with their future. Basically, it's one of those soul-searching issues.
So is it fair to say then that it's like an adventure novel that you feel is already written, but you're the main character and you got to get there before it starts?
Right.
Kind of that, yeah. So
Yeah, she's got blue hair, lighter than what I have. I'm hoping to fix that soon.
Thank you,
she
Scott.
does. They can't, and you can't really tell if they are a male or a female. Basically, they're just
Androgynous.
androgynous, and their face is like half covered with one of those.
I saw the image you sent.
Yeah.
See, I'm Canadian, so I see it as a ski mask, one of those tubes
Yeah.
that you pull up to here. Then the goggles and then the toque. No,
Yeah.
so-
Partial
Exactly.
baklava.
Well, I don't think
Yes.
there's no toque.
yeah.
There's no
oh,
toque,
yes.
but yeah.
Yeah.
They, and then they're wearing what would be street thug clothes, sort of, with a pair of tennies, all in black. The only thing that's really sets them apart, other than their blue eyes, is their blue hair.
So yeah, they're just pow. So, how long do you fight it? Do you fight it? How do you fight it? How do you respond? That's the
Let's
same
see.
question a lot of different ways.
Definitely. Well, they probably would just, get out of bed as normal and try and do their normal things, which probably would include walking away from whatever it is trying
Yeah.
to pull them,
Hmm.
and realize something doesn't seem right here. They would eventually get dressed and be like, well, maybe this is my calling, and work on following it, knowing that they'd be going the wrong direction once they feel that
Oh yeah, it's
unusual
easy. Yeah.
tug in the other direction.
It's like walking. It's like falling down a gravity well. It's the easiest thing in the world. Just go where it wants you to go, right? So within a few hours, you're heading in that direction.
Yes.
Ted, for lack of a better collection of names. We'll get to that in a second. What is it that draws Ted?
Well, for him, this sensation seems to be coming like that whole itchy palm.
Uh-huh.
And it's a matter of, ah, well, sometimes you got to listen to those voices in your head.
Yep.
Well, not all of them, just the ones that say you might make money tonight.
Yep.
And the other ones, well, I listen to them when I have to, but so he basically is like, okay. The only way he's always found to make those little voices stop and is to see if that itchy palm means there is actually money coming to it.
Yes.
So, has this got promise? He's had hunches over the times that panned out. Some he had to run out, but it usually breaks even, and it's part of the reason why he does these things. He's sometimes a thrill seeker. He's always been playing that line, and
Yep. He's a hustler. Okay. Yeah.
so he basically wants to sit there and he's like, yeah, rules. I don't. The book was too long. No,
Yeah.
I
Spoken as an out of character GM. So again, though, end result, not much resistance. Couple hours, and it's annoying. Let's go find the money or find out.
Yeah,
Is it
he's like, he's sitting there eating breakfast and just look. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go. Just
Yeah.
look. My Captain Crunch is soggy now. Fine,
Yes.
we'll go.
We're going now. Yeah, we gotta stop. Now we gotta stop and get a. Yeah, we gotta go stop and get something on a bun. I said without mentioning any brand names. Perfect. Mick. What's the pull? What's the offer?
Mick is one of those guys who always is looking for his next challenge, his next thing to prove himself and to show that he's the biggest, the baddest, the guy that you need to be respecting and looking to if you need a problem solved. Like, he's very much that go-getter, one of the bros kind of guy, and is just, I think the moment he feels like it's just like, okay, this is what I gotta be doing, we're doing it.
Right. So like an American Ninja type of dude. Just like
yes, very fit, much American Ninja, but with a very like, with straight dude bro energy, like straight 100% dude bro energy.
Perfect. So that's the pull. Is that is this sort of similar to Blake, where it feels like this is your purpose? Or is this we got one purpose and one opportunity so far?
I think for him, part of it is tied to the fact that he always feels like he needs to prove himself because he has a famous grandfather, Patches O'Houlihan, who was a world famous dodgeball player back in the olden days and played on the original ESPN 8 The Ocho. So he feels like he has to continue on and be the next famous O'Houlihan.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Like the 5th generation soldier in the family. Gotcha.
Yep.
So given that, how quickly do you run towards this target? Like We talked about a
I
gravity well earlier. I could see Mick running down a scree slope down the side of a mountain to get there faster.
So it's one of those things. Mick wakes up, feels it, and is just like, "Okay, dudes, this is what I gotta do." He goes up, grabs, he makes protein shake in the morning, real quick, downs that, takes off running down the stairs. Doesn't you? He's wearing I don't know if you have seen Major League, the vest that Charlie Sheen character wears, Vince Vaughn, the cut off biker jacket.
Okay.
He's wearing one of those, black leather pants, muscles everywhere. His hair is bleach blonde, all spiked up, flowing in the breeze. He's just like, I'm going. He's
All
like
right.
weaving through people, and he's just running.
Perfect. Well, nobody's resisting. So the three of you, I see this from sort of a Google view, which we're going to get to shortly. But from the top of the city, it's like three dots converging on the most nondescript block in the middle of the most nondescript neighborhood in all of London. And just you come into opposite ends of the street, it's almost, as you get closer and closer, the focus just gets deeper and deeper. The rest of the world almost starts to gray out. It's like other people aren't there. Like you can see them, you don't run into them, but they're just almost don't count. Except you can see, almost lit, almost limbed with otherness, yourself and two others. As you converge on one of those little picket fences with the really nasty spiky spear top points. And as the three of you approach that, you see at the end of the road is one of those old white on blue signs that they're actually screwed to the wall, and it says Here Road. But in front of that, somebody's gotten creative with a chisel and a hammer and typed in NOW. So now it's called Nowhere Road. And the pull here, I mean, we talked about a gravity well, it's almost vertical here. It's just boom, 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 boom. In you go. And as you approach number 23, well, you tell me. It's now a need to be. The three of you approach. I'm going to ask, knowing the answer is probably Mick. Does anybody rush to be first?
It's 100%.
Yeah, no, Blake will take their time. They'll fill the pool, they'll run up until they start seeing the other two.
Okay.
And then probably just like slow down and like try and, vibe them out. See if they're, cool to hang around with and stuff like that.
The glow definitely gives me a bit of a pause, like, okay, and then just the arrow train that is Mick. It's all good, man. It's all good.
You first, right? That's how the long-lived adventurers start almost every adventure after you. So with that, Mick, you're the first one up I was going to call it a sidewalk, but it's literally, a double arm's length long. It's one of those places. And then 3 stairs for no reason to a door that's 3 feet off the ground for no reason. It's just a brownstone, just any other brownstone. You see the number 23 on the door, and there's one of those twist brass doorbells. What do you do? You're the first one there?
Mick reaches, and it reaches this like almost floating staircase, and is like looking at it like, dude, this is like super weird, man. Yeah. But like, I'm down for it, man. It's got my lucky number 23 up there. Like, MJ wore that number, I wear that number. Let's just go for it. I saw those other 2 dudes, or maybe dudettes, I'm not sure. But like, one of them had some super fire drip going on with their outfit. The other one just, I don't know. He just kind of looked like a tenor or something. I don't know. I wasn't entirely sure what was going on with him. But I don't know. He seemed pretty chill. So he just I just go up and is it like a knocker or is it a just a doorknob?
It's a twist. So there's a brass plate, and then there's a brass sort of vertical handle inset into it, and you give it a spin, and it rings the bell inside. Ding, 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 ding.
Ah.
So he just sticks his hand in it and twists it and just goes like, well, dude, let's see what happens, man.
As you twist it, and you're expecting the ding, 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 instead it goes, and the door slides into the wall like an airlock door in a spaceship.
Dude.
The other two see that because you're sort of at the bottom of the stairs now. As you look out, the smell comes pouring out. It smells like heather and soap.
Okay.
I don't actually like the new Irish Spring scent. It's really kind of off.
Kind of off, yeah.
It's retro.
I don't know what the smell is, but like it just feels kind of weird to me. Hi there, guys. My name's Mickey. You can call me Mick O'Houlihan. And you guys notice that as you guys stand up, Mick is only like 5'8". Like he is short,
Yeah.
but very muscular.
Yeah.
So in other words, about the same size as Blake. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And Ted, where does that? Since we're talking heights, where do we put Ted?
They're both a little taller than me. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Ted stands about 5'6" or so. He's like,
I love this. Yeah. So as you turn around to say that to them, you hear a TV down the hall inside the flat. An announcer is droning on about a battle at a place called Culloden in 1746. And as you open your mouth to speak, a powerful voice, it's definitely live and not part of the show, shouts out, "That's nae how it happened, you wee prick! If I ever meet you face to face, I'll bugger you with a great cactus!"
Okay.
Dude, this guy sounds pretty rad. Let's go talk to him.
Oh, that sounds pretty mad. But yeah, this sounds like a good idea. Yeah, why don't you go first?
well, you got there first. By all means, we'll follow.
Mick just walks in like he's kind of confused about beating somebody. It sounded like to him like he was gonna beat this guy over the head with a great cactus. He doesn't know what a great cactus is, so he's kind of confused.
Yeah.
He just walks.
At this point, Blake's
This is the
probably gonna
first
get a
of
little
many
frustrated,
old
yeah.
school swears. Yeah. But yes, as you step in, a huge head, almost like a Sasquatch, that the top half of the face has been shaved. A big ginger Sasquatch, just red hair, red beard, big florid face, comes around the corner and looks down at the three of you. "Ah, shite, I didn't hear the door. Do you want a drink?"
Like sure, if you've got something that's like not super like bloaty and stuff, I'm trying to watch my carb intake right now. Like if you've got some like good like whiskey or stuff, I'm totally down for that.
Nick, I don't think the time for drinking is right now.
Well, of course not. We don't have the drinks yet, so let's
Right.
follow him. So,
Right down here. Oh, and while we're at it, why the galloping fuck do the three of you think you're here?
To hook you up?
my hand was itchy.
Right?
I thought this was one of my like next thing, man. Like my next thing to like like me to show what I am, prove
Okay.
myself, that type of
It
thing.
feels like it's my destiny.
Right.
It was getting all wonky if I tried to walk the other way. So
It works like that, so I'm told. I'm Callum Campbell, and I'm here to help you save your godforsaken city. Now, about that drink. And he turns around and walks back into the living room. You walk in, this huge, like 85-inch TV. It's been muted, but the documentary's still going on. He did not ask. He puts a silver tray down on the table with 4 identical glasses about that tall, about that big around, the big heavy crystal bottoms, about 2-3 ounces of good Scotch whiskey, In there, the only option is in the middle of the tray. There's almost as an afterthought, and you can kind of almost see him holding his nose while he puts it there, is a little silver tray with some ice and tongs. Help yourselves. And he's got another one. There's 4 on the tray, but he's got one as well.
All right. Yeah, thanks. I'll pick it up.
Oh, like this is like super appreciated, man. Thank you. He grabs one.
I've never really drank liquor before.
It's all right. It must be nice to live in an age where you can do that. But now that you're here, I can see about 1,000 questions amongst the 3 of you. How about I talk for a bit first? Not you. You don't look like you can wait. And he looks at Ted.
Well, I was just kind of wondering. You said that you hear that's how it works. So is that actually then something that's you did?
Maybe I'll start somewhere else. A bit with London has reached what we choose to call historical critical mass. So much has happened here over the years, and he actually puts his drink down to get both hands into it. So much humanity. So many choices made. It's all coming to a head. It happens in any significantly populated place, really. The agglomeration of decisions, anywhere the world is changed by the power of choices. It's happened multiple times in some places. The Nile Delta, a few cities in what we now call China, what was once called Constantinople. It's happened there a few times as well, as far as we can tell. This one's This one's London's first. Decisions, breed tension. And tension leads to wear, and wear leads to failure. Like a fishing net pulled in all directions. If something isn't done to lower those tensions, the net will snap. And when it does, everything ends. You heard of the lost Egyptian dynasties? Cultures that just failed overnight for no apparent reason.
Is that like Atlantis?
No, that one's just a load of shite.
Oh.
Unless I did it in another game, but never mind.
Probably more the load of shite.
The pins that hold the tension in place are tied to moments and sometimes even objects. If those objects are removed from the historical bounds of the area, in this case London, their grip seems to be loosened and the net can relax. So things can stay the same as they are for at least a wee bit longer.
So you made us all itchy to bring us here, tell us that the world's going to end if we don't do something.
It wasn't me that made you itchy, that was you.
No, I took a shower last night.
These events draw people to them. The right people, as it were. Which is why I didn't bother too much when you gave me them wonky excuses for why you were here. You're the right team for the job. I'm sure it did.
So...
But in this instance, we got 10 events, 10 items. Have a look, pick one of them, I'll tell you what I know about them. And I'm just going to show the stream. There's now a map of London, the same map that you guys are seeing in Roll20, with a list of 10 events on it from London's history. I just put them in order, time order, just for the purposes of this, and I'll quickly go over them. Again, you guys can ask about any of them. There's as much detail as you need. But the very first building on the site of what we now call London went there somewhere around 4800 before the Common Era. Londinium was founded by the Romans at 47 AD. A mere 13 years later, it was burned by Boudica. I'm going with Boudica as a pronunciation. There's about 30. I'm going with Boudica because it's easy, and that's how it's spelled in Wikipedia. The Tower of London was built in 1066 AD, which is also famous for a certain battle. London Bridge, 1234 AD. The Gunpowder Plot, 1605. That's Guy Fawkes on the 5th of November trying to blow up Parliament. The Burning of the Globe Theatre, where Shakespeare performed had his first plays performed in 1613. The Great Fire of London in 1666. One of the many reasons why people don't trust those last three digits, apparently. The completion of St. Paul's Cathedral in 1708, because it was destroyed in the Great Fire and rebuilt. And then the final one on here, the only one in the 20th century, the Battle of Britain, which was 1940 to 1941 AD. There's also points on the map that we'll get to as you ask about them.
Okay.
Right, so you say all these points and like the first building on site. So now that's something that we would have to, I mean, that seems to have been a while ago, so that was our tension point.
The nice thing with all of these objects is they're either recently found or just we know where they are. They've just been doing some digging along the side of the Thames. They were doing some building, and what they found was an old burnt wooden circle which they've taken dating from. And it puts it around 4,800 years BCE. And I think that was probably the first building ever there. If you go down there and take a bit of that, a bit of that burned wood, you pluck it out where it is and get it out of London, it should relieve some of the tension.
So, like, what you're saying is, like, we got to go to all these points and, you know, find these things, these items that you called them, like,
Aye.
right? And then get them out of London.
Aye, that's correct.
And like, do we need to, like, have, like, a time limit on this or something? Or, like...
There are a few rules. And I got to say, it wasn't you I was expecting to ask about them. But there are a few things you should know. First of all, that fella that no one likes here, he was right about one thing, almost. Because the world you know and I know, it's a hologram. But it's nae a simulation. It's very, very real, and if you fuck up, you'll be very, very dead. These, he says, and he holds out 3 pills in his hand, one blue, one red, one purple. He says, are physical representations of viruses that allow you to hack that hologram in various ways. The blue one lets you change the past. The red one lets you change objects and places in the present. And the purple one lets you change people's minds. If you take more than one, there's no effect, because I knew somebody'd ask. And they last for 10 hours after you take them. Oh, one other thing. You can only try each mission once. Any more than that and you'll break the hologram.
Well, we wouldn't want to do that, now would we?
So, like, no do-overs then, like we can't screw up.
That's correct.
Well, like, do we, like, each want to, like, pick one that, like, looks cool and then we choose from those? Or, like, what do we want to do then?
Now, how do we do it is the question.
Every one of the events has an item. In most cases, they'll need to be stolen or dug up from where they currently are.
And are we doing this? Are these like places we can get to now, or I don't understand.
Oops, just turn the map up. Thank you. Thank you, chat, for realizing the map was still up and letting me know. Well, some of the items are in, let me say, challenging places. Like the Tate Museum, the Royal Military Museum, places like that. Other ones are, you know, simple, like buried in a public park.
You said you have a list of all these things that we're supposed to get from each one of these locations.
I do. And he starts going down the list. The first building, there's a wee splinter in the muck of the Thames that you'll have to pull out and steal. The second one, Londinium, founded by the Romans. There is an eagle, one of the founding legions, buried in Hyde Park.
An eagle. Are we talking like an eagle statue or the actual
Oh, hang on, sorry,
bird?
pardon me. I'm reading my first round notes. I didn't realize I changed that. Sorry. The eagle of one of the founding legions is where is it? It's in the Imperial War Museum. When Boudica burned Londinium, they left behind one bit of her wheel of her chariot. That's buried in St. Dunstan's Park. The Tower of London, well, there's one wee bit of the original tower buried way underneath. Sort of a time capsule, if you will. Under the current bridge. Oh, sorry, that's London Bridge. The Tower of London. Right. Yes, the Tower of London. That one's going to be a wee bit difficult because it's a key to the tower itself, which is kept inside the tower, inside the museum, to the tower. So that was a wee bit tough. But remember, you can change a shit with the pills.
Yeah. And above game, I'm getting like this Bill and Ted fight.
Oh yeah. The gunpowder plot now, on the other hand. That one's a wee bit weird. It's in the Tower of London Museum, and the part of a display called Famous Hats That Sat on Famous Heads.
Famous hats that sat on famous heads.
Aye. In that case, that head got cut off.
Yeah, remind me not to touch that one.
So for that one, we need a hat out of that display.
Aye. The hat worn by Guy Fawkes himself. This one might interest the English majors amongst you. I'm completely out of character, never mind. An ashy, burnt up fragment of a hitherto unknown Shakespeare play has been discovered and is being researched at the Tate Museum before it's being sent over to the British Museum for long-term storage. Don't worry, there's only 3 more. I can see your hands all cramping up from all the writing. During the Great Fire. Yeah, okay.
You said that the new clay that was found is at the Tate?
At the Tate, yeah. All of these are marked. These are the numbered dots on the map that you guys can see and that I had up before for the stream, and I turned it back down.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did we miss the one for the bridge?
I got them backwards, the bridge and the Tower of London. So let me go over those two again.
I missed the one for the bridge then.
Okay. Tower of
I have
London.
I have the key for the tower located in the tower.
London Bridge is the bit of the original London Bridge in a lockbox underneath the bridge as sort of a time capsule. And then the gunpowder plot was that one. The wee Burnley fragment of Shakespeare at the Tate Modern Museum. During the Great Fire, it all started in Pudding Lane, and when they built put the plaque on the wall, they thought it was appropriate to put a wee bit of the sign of the original bakery behind it. So you'll have to get that out of there. It's the sign, the original sign of the bakery behind the plaque for the bakery that started the fire.
Ah.
Then, in that weird pointy cathedral that he built, there's a wee fragment of Gothic pointed arch from the original church that stood there. It's just on a plinth sitting in the middle of the church. That one will be easy.
What are we trying to steal out of the church?
A tiny fragment of a pointed arch of the original church that was destroyed in the Fire of London.
Okay.
And finally, during the Battle of Britain, you know, the History Channel, when it used to do history, did one of them shows about the hidden underground bunkers that Churchill hid in. Well, in one of those, they've got a box of his real cigars that were actually there. I cannot imagine that they're still in any shape to smoke, but one of those you'll have to be after getting as well.
Wow.
I know it sounds like a lot, but remember, and he holds the pills out again, you can lie to yesterday. You can lie to anything they point at you and try and shoot you with. And you can tell them that they love you. So it's not as hard as you think.
So we take this and we start our adventures.
Aye, just pick one. Here, finish your drinks and have another.
Mick finishes Scott's, grabs another one, drinks it, and then and then reaches out, takes it, grabs the red pill, and takes the red pill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that
Let's
was
gonna
actually
That was a planner.
Yeah, that was the planner pill.
okay. So that is the you change
Objects.
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 Alright. Bam.
That's going to bite. That's kind of what I was building on. But, okay.
does that mean all three of us are going planner then?
I think so.
That absolutely works. It absolutely works. Oops. Just let me. Was that the idea? You're all going planner?
No.
Okay.
I had based on planner.
I had chosen planner also.
All right. Oh, I love it. In that case, I don't have to do any of this. Don't forget this stuff. We all have chosen the one thing. So, oops, that's not the one I needed to turn off. There we go. All right. Back to what we're. All right, we're good. Stop touching things, Kevin. Play the game. So the three of, as one of you takes the red pill, another one just appears in his hand. Another one, you take that, another one just appears in his hand. As he said, the world is a hologram. These are viruses, so they don't have to make sense, right?
Right.
Each of you, boom, you have all gained the ability to change objects. And with that, he looks at you and says, "So, which one do you want to do first?" Feel free to have a chat here. This is
So, out of character,
yes.
the World War II nut in me really wants to do Battle of Britain first,
Yeah.
but the other part of me is like in character, like the easiest sounding one is the St. Paul Cathedral one.
Yep.
Because it's literally just a thing on top of a plinth.
Yep. All you have to do is be willing to steal from a church.
I mean, you think that's gonna stop Mick?
I mean, it didn't stop the Vikings, so I can't imagine.
Ted's not exactly opposed as long as, hey, someone distract the priest.
All right. So that's two that have expressed a preference. Blake?
Blake's gonna just follow with the guys, figuring that, if they follow along, chances are they'll figure out what's going on and just try and work their way through their own stuff.
Well, now, one other thing to throw out there. Quite frankly, I don't quite know the two of you, so maybe we find something that's not necessarily, going in and desecrating holy ground right off the bat. But there's a wheel in a park. Maybe that might be a little bit of a get to feel
There's a
get to
chariot
feel each
wheel.
other out.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a chariot wheel buried in a public park. That is Boudica's chariot wheel. Yes.
I mean, get a feel for this hologram thing and see how we can play it out. Get an idea how these pills work, and then basically go sit there and desecrate deities' places.
Well, that sounds like a reasonable thing.
Just Just as a point of order, the the place, the park, is Saint Dunstan's, and it's the ruins of another church.
What's the ruins? Is that happening?
Exactly. Technically, you're right because it's no longer hallowed ground. So yes, technically you're correct.
If it's a public park, I guarantee you it is no longer hollowed.
Yes. Sort of a lot of very, very non-hallowed things happen there on a regular basis. But so is that then? Is that your? I saw a crappy TV show a couple decades ago. Is that your final answer?
Well,
like I guess we can, well, before we can run, I guess I think that's.
I just feel like maybe we should sit there and kind of, know each other besides over Scotch, and see how this all works before, like I said, because in all likelihood we'll end up in time for evening mass, and that gets a little sticky. But maybe when there's a park that's not quite so obviously running out of the house with priest chasing us with a big stick, kind of thing.
I mean, that sounds like it's a fair assumption that just we look for this very thing, magic or who's it, and we just kind of roll it out of here.
He reaches over and taps the screen where it says Londinium burned by Boudica 60 AD. And he looks back at you as the picture starts to load and he says, I'm not gonna lie, I've got a wee crush on this one. Any woman who burns down not one, not two, but 3 British towns. Well, that's Marian material. I mean, Boudica, her name literally means victorious woman. A queen of a tribe whose territory you could now drive across in about 90 minutes, burned Camalodunum, Verulamium, and Londinium. Her army defeated elements of the Roman legions. She came this close to driving the Romans from the Isles 4 centuries before they actually left on their own. When Suetonius, that Suetonius, the one that became a fucking Caesar, the governor at the time, he had her killed. Her war chariot was disassembled and the pieces were shown as trophies all around the land. One piece, a wheel of her chariot, got buried in the ruins of the church of St. Dunstan in the East Church Gardens. You're going to have to dig it up. And he taps an image, he taps the map and it zooms in. I'm going to let you guys do that in Roll20. And for the moment, I'm just going to bring the map back up briefly on the screen as well. I think I am. Yeah, there we go. Just very briefly, so you can see where it is. This one is... Yeah, so you can see where number 2 is. That's where we're headed. And with that...
2 or 3? 3?
3.
3, sorry.
I thought it was 3.
Yeah, 3. That's what I said, 3. I said that enough times that I can change it and edit so it'll look like I meant it. Yeah, I won't. I never, ever do editing. Yeah, and you're right, chat. It's London. Practically everything was once a church. And this entire area was once Londinium. Now, we get to do, as he zooms in on this park, it's a really lush, just a green spot. This is it's technically called a protected oasis in the city. So you're not allowed to play your music in here. You're not allowed to blab on your phone. This is very quiet little park space. And as it zooms in, we now get to do an interesting thing. Part of the Stealing Stories for the Devil way the game works, the system. We're now going to put your plan and this reality. We're going to build this park and the adventure and your plan for overcoming it together as a group, sort of half in and half out of character. It's a really strange sort of metaverse moment here. So the way this works is I say one thing about the situation, and then one of you, or together as a group, you get to say something else about the situation. You can't negate anything that I say, but you can add to it. So we can play yes and, or you can adjust it. You can say yes but, or you can add something completely different. The only rule is I get the last thing. So I go, you go, I go, and it alternates. I get to go first and last if I choose. I have been known to give up my last if it's already looking really funny or really good. So, with that basic introduction, I will start. This is a very quiet but very public and very respected city oasis. Anything out of the ordinary in here is going to bring the police in a hurry. How would you counter, or how would you add or counter to that? Take your time. This is a weird mechanic because, like I said, this is an out of character, in character thing. Don't think about it as your character. You're literally building the park with me. So you are completely within your rights to say something like, yes, but the underbrush has been allowed to grow and there's solitude places, it's hard to see. Anything. Chat amongst
Yes,
yourselves.
the police.
I'd like. Go ahead.
Yes, the police can go ahead and access it. However, they can either do it only by foot or by bicycle. No, not bicycle. They can only do it by foot. They
So-
can't bring any motorized vehicles. They can't bring
Makes
bicycles. They
sense.
can't bring
So, yeah.
horses or anything like that
Bobby's
because
only.
it's a protected area.
Perfect. Bobby's only. So no guns. Yeah.
And no
radios
guns,
sticks.
yeah.
Holy cow! Look at our banner. The hammer is flailing over there, wiping out the bad persons. Thank you so much, then to Hellhounds for banning all the peoples. So there's gonna if there's a fuss, there will be a response, but it will be Bobby's only. So perfect example. Number 2, the ground is hard packed earth or rock walls and rubble. So you're gonna need tools, unless you can think around this. I phrased it this way because I didn't want to say you're gonna need tools, but the surface is hard and difficult to work.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
we're in the middle of multiple days of rain, which has softened the soil and made it much easier to work with,
Okay.
especially in the area where we believe the wheel to be.
Okay, absolutely. That's 2. If the rest of you are okay with that. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. 3. Buildings all around. This is downtown London. Buildings all around the site. Hundreds of windows. Can look down into this park at any moment.
Except for on the East Church Garden
Okay.
section, because that was the garden, and since those trees had been planted by the last priest, they have been maintained, or at least seedlings from them have always been planted around that area along a border,
Yep.
making a nice little mini oasis within the oasis.
Beautiful.
And thus, it's a secluded, shaded area that does not let easily visible from the windows.
Perfect. And I'm going to make this my last one. I'll tell you in advance this is my last. You can add one after, and we'll just call it even. There is known to be a security guard who works there who appears to be old and frail, but is rumored to be a serious badass.
I'm gonna play a card.
Okay. You've got
I'm
the
gonna
only
play-
card that can be played in the first round. I know what this card is.
I'm
I love
playing
it.
my inside help card. This security guard
Yep.
is actually Mick's uncle, who's
Oh,
the
I
reason
love
why who's why Mick is actually here, because Mick's here for the summer living with his uncle,
Oh.
and his uncle got this job here and has worked this job for say 20 years,
Yeah.
and Mick is
guard's
asking him
perks.
for a favor and be like, hey, we're going here at this specific night, can you make sure we're not disturbed,
Yeah. Oh, be somewhere else. Yeah. Be somewhere
or
else.
be somewhere else, one of those things.
Don't get yourself in trouble. Just be somewhere else. This is perfect. So, I have given up my rights to any more. Does anybody want to? You guys you played that beautifully. Just as a summary of what we've got. This is a city oasis, so any response is going to be very quick, but it will be Bobby's only. No SWAT teams, no cars. You're gonna the ground is very normally very rough and rocky, but it's been raining, so you will be able to dig it up with your bare hands. It's not going to be easy, but it's doable without tools. There are a bajillion windows overlooking this place, but there is this sort of one little corner in the corner where nobody can see in. And while there is this serious badass ex-military Marine, because now it's important, Mick's uncle, it has agreed to piss off and be on break when at the appropriate moment. I'm gonna I again, I just said I sometimes have been known to say I'm not taking the final one because that was too good. That's perfect. So we will stop there. So now we drop back down into character, 100% into character mode. And Callum looks at you. Says, well, that's certainly going to make things easier having your uncle working there. You could have mentioned that before. Sorry for throwing you under the bus roleplay wise. You didn't know before?
I'm sorry, dude. I didn't realize that place was actually super important, so I kind of didn't realize it needed to be mentioned. Because
of course,
I don't want to act like I'm super connected and all that. I'm just trying to keep on the down low.
Didn't worry, son. Nobody thinks you're well connected.
I think that's supposed to be an insult, but don't worry, dude. Your scotch is super cool, so we're cool.
That's Scots whiskey. Scotch is what the English call it.
Well, it's good shit regardless.
Right, then you get to live. Okay, so you pop your pills, you only got 10 hours left. That means you're doing this in broad daylight.
But it's overcast. Remember, it's been raining.
Broad hazy daylight. I take it back. It was clear when I got here last night. I specifically remember it in the script.
Well, that's why we missed it.
Yes.
But you know how it is here in this how London, it's always super rainy and it comes out of nowhere sometimes. So even if it's super clear one minute, it can be torrential downpour the next minute.
Yeah, that's London. One of its minute charms, I'm told. Anywho, 9 minutes 40.
Oh yeah, we could probably get going.
I was about to say, I suppose we should be on our way.
As you head out.
Oh,
yes, yep.
Before you said we had to get this stuff and get it out somewhere. Where exactly are you supposed to take it?
Oh Christ, I should have mentioned that, shouldn't I? You'd think I didn't know what I'm doing.
Oh no.
Here's a wee map, and he pulls up the map on the screen, and he zooms into an area north of London. He says, this used to do a lot of coal mining around here. We're thinking if we bury them deep in there, we should be good to go. One down each shaft, so to speak.
So say, if we're putting them all together, wouldn't that actually just be worse?
But it's not in London. To be fair, we're winging this. As far as we know, nobody's ever successfully done this before. I mean, if they did, they just kept going. So we can only really track the failures.
Noted. Don't fail. Underscore. Gotcha.
It's raining. That's called London Crew, yeah.
The way I'm thinking of it is we're taking all this weight, that's on this bar, and London's this bar, and we're taking these weights, which are these important points in history, and we're moving them to a different bar in a different gym. So the pressure is being moved from London to a different place, man.
Right, what he said.
That just hurt my head, dude.
And that is why we invented Scots whiskey.
I think it's going to take a bit more than a single glass to follow some of that, but okay. So,
Well, remember, he's had a couple already, so.
oh, I know. That's why I'm thinking I need now.
Yes. And he taps the map. He says, right here, just north of the just northeast of London Bridge, the wee park of St. Dunstan in the East Church Garden. There is, of course, the wee problem of finding the whale once you're there. We don't know exactly where it is. This is where that in-character, out-of-character thing pops up because we know that it's in that corner, but the characters don't even know that. Yeah, never mind. Yeah.
So, how we need to come here to you? Are we going to get sort of like that itchy feeling if we start getting close to it or something?
We have it on thinly guarded suspicion, frankly, and no more, that once the item is removed from Londinium and put safely somewhere else, that the tension will release, and part of that will somehow bring you back to me automatically. We're not quite sure if it's marching through the haze like you did on the way here today.
But I mean, if we start getting close to the item, is there a way that we would sense it if we start getting close to it, or is it we just it's all a crapshoot?
Christ, it's good you're here asking all these questions. Oh, you'd think it was the first time I did this. I mean, it is. When you get close to these things, you're going to start getting sensory impressions, smells, tastes even, sights even, and then you'll know you're close when you finally touch it. Apparently it's quite a bang.
We're not going to explode, are we?
Yeah, bad bang. Just
no, like an inside your head kind of bang. Like a touching history kind of thing.
So like it's like a super powerful like light bulb moment then, like, is that what you're trying to say?
Precisely. In the age of lamps even.
Alright. So note, pick up insulated gloves one way. Right. So, well, at least now we know that we can potentially find it as we get closer. We know it's somewhere in that park. And yeah, so let's go be non-noticed in the overcast skies of the day.
Yes.
Okay.
And with that, you leave the brownstone. Make your way into downtown London, the hustle and bustle blasting around you as it goes. And remember, start playing those cards at any time now. Any time from now until the end of this adventure, when you will get some more for the next adventure. But you make your way through downtown London, and you finally get to this park. And you can see right away why it's called a city oasis. It's something about all the greenery. You step through one of those metal iron arched gates that you can't see for all the ivy, and all the flowers are starting to pop up because it's been raining. You step through into that green space, and like 3 steps in, you can't hear the honking horns anymore. And 2 more steps, you can't even hear that hum of traffic. The light in here is all coming through the canopy. Even though a lot of it is reflecting off buildings, it's green in here. It's dark. It's quiet. It's peaceful. There's quite a few people in the center. There's sort of a round area that's been cleared, and there's a couple of picnic tables, and it looks like a lot of people on their lunch, sort of with their little box lunches or their little, bento trays and whatever it is. Happens to be seasonal this year. And they don't pay attention to you as long as you're quiet. You head over towards that corner area.
As we walk in, we're trying to see if we feel any kind of pull, any kind of sense of like this way or that way.
No real sense of that, other than as I'll offer you instead of that, there's only 2 places in this park that are completely out of public view. There's a little alcove in one corner, and there's another place where part of a church wall still stands. So there's a gap between that and a big building behind it. That's the only 2 places that nobody could see. So if you're lucky, that's where that would be. At that point, Mick, You see your uncle look up. Oh, looks at his watch and very, very like obviously picks up his coffee canister and walks out like holding it like a bad actor, and out into the street and goes over to goes to a submarine sandwich shop for his lunch.
Like, okay, guys, we've only got like about 15 minutes to a half hour before my uncle's got to be back here because he can't be gone too long because it'll be kind of obvious. He kind of needs this job, so we got to get moved.
Well,
Let's be quick
That's-
then.
let's try the spots that, fingers crossed, is out of prying eyes. See if we get anything from those. And start walking over towards like that little alcove to start.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
guess.
As you walk towards that little area, it's clear it's been built up over the years. Like you said, it's rows of saplings that were planted that have grown into this intense hedge. It's gonna be like being in a soundproof room in there, practically, right? You already know from how quiet it is here. As you go, you look behind that other gap, that space between the old ruins and the wall of the building, and it's all just bracken. So there's nothing in there. As you make your way into this area, let's do our first actual play of the evening. And that's not uncommon with this game because each scene has one resolution roll, and one of you will make it. But before we make that roll, we're going to resolve what that roll is. So just looking around, you guys are, I'm assuming it would be perception, unless you would have something other that you would choose. I'm really flexible on this. Tell me what skill you're using. Or if you have traits or skills that would be useful.
Yeah. At this point, I think.
Perceptions are still
Perception.
D6s. So, okay.
Well, actually, I have. Trait is perceptive
Yep. Perfect.
as a D8.
Yep. So you get a D8 instead of a D6. The
Have
other two?
Stealth.
I'll give you that as a helper for sure. Like you, kind of, it's kind of the opposite of stealth. You sort of draw people's attention away from.
I have
the stuff.
disguise. I can disguise myself.
Nobody knows your. I'm not quite sure how that would help, but Mick, while you
No.
think about it, Blake.
Mhm.
So far we've got the person who's going to be making the active roll is going to be Ted. They're actively looking, but the other two of you have an opportunity to help. If you
Okay,
don't have
so
a specific
this-
skill, it's still a
okay.
D6, right? So
I do have
this might
tracking.
be a stretch. This might be
Tracking.
a stretch, but I
Yep.
have an idea.
Yep.
So one of my skills that I chose was storytelling, right?
okay,
And the events surrounding Boudica and her fall is a great story, right?
yep,
And they want to, make sure such things are remembered. So perhaps, say, above where the chariot wheel was buried,
yep.
there is like a small headstone or something that we find.
Okay, that is a lie, that, or sorry, a thing that you could change. You could change the object.
Yeah,
You could say when we step in there, there's a small plaque hidden behind the ivy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
yeah, like there's like a small plaque or some notation that says this is the location where piece of Boudica's chariot was buried.
Okay. So that's another D8. So now we're at 2 D8s. Blake, you don't have to add to this roll. You can leave it at just 2 D8s.
Mm,
And even if you
I
don't
can
have
help with-
perceptive, you still get a D6 to add, right?
I can help with tracking.
Okay. Yeah, you're good at
Tracking
tracking.
it down a little bit better.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. So, as you all apply all that knowledge, we're going to have Ted make our roll for the evening. The three of you are looking for symbols and tracking, like if I came in here, where would I put it? I'll give you all of that, and you're just looking for clues. So 3 D8s, and we're going to say that this is hard. So the hurdle is 5, 6. So if you roll a
Okay.
5 or a 6, you almost find it. If you roll a 7 or above, you do find it. And if you roll 1s, bad things happen. But that's how that always works. So
Okay.
3d8. Yeah. Also, any cards that you've got that you may want to play. There's also some cards that can be played after the fact as well.
I got one, but I think I'm gonna have to do this after this.
Okay.
Actually, I will play this one now. And you said to just drag it off.
Drag it into the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, drag it off onto the actual map
Okay.
itself.
Okay.
Roll 20.
There we go.
And you can just.
I studied for this test.
All right.
I have a piece of information crucial to my success.
Yes. So, okay. Perfect. This all works. So, what does that do? Does that give you a boost to your roll?
It doesn't
Auto
say.
succeed.
I don't know. It just says I have a piece of information critical to your success. Or you have a
That
crucial to
feels
your
like
success.
a boost.
That's that's an automatic success actually.
Oh.
A piece of information critical. Perfect. I love it. So as you guys spread around, this is funny because it's a roll that didn't turn into a roll, which is another thing I love about this game. But it all still works out because now I get the fun of explaining what the hell happened. Mick, you started looking around and you see that there's in this little park. There's 4 sections of wall that are left of the original sacristy of the original church. And into those, somebody has scratched some marks. So to the north, there's an X. To the south, there's like a vertical T. To the east, there's this bracket. And to the west, there's this bracket. So if you put them all together, it sort of comes to the center of the courtyard. Blake, you sort of come to the same conclusion. The only logical place to put a display would be right here in the middle of this. Bang, so it has to be here. And as you get that moment, Ted, you remember you weren't listening in history one day, but it's suddenly one of those flashback moments. It's like it's when they buried Boudica's wheel, they buried it within a wheel. And you look on the ground and the flagstones are set in the shape of a wheel. It's also where the if the lines would cross if you lined up all 4 of those symbols that you found on the wall. The rain is soaked down in between all those flagstones. All you have to do is start pulling. As you get real close to the center and as you make that connection like wheel on a wheel, and as you look down, you get that first hint of a smell. Meat cooking over an open fire.
Right. So we're gonna have to hit lunch after this, by the way, guys.
Yeah,
I think so.
Meg's stomach probably grumbles.
Yeah, this is like wild beast on stick over fire. This is primal food, right?
This speaks to Meg.
This is 60 AD food.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking around now from where we're at here, the lunch crowd.
Yep.
We are pretty blocked off from them.
Yep, because of the way you guys built this scene, anything short of a catastrophic failure. If you guys, because you got no tools, so there's no tools to make noise, right? If you're literally using your fingers to wiggle out bricks and move them, as long as no one comes in here,
right?
Yeah. Then
Well,
you're fine.
Basically, looking at how this is set, how these are set up, and the way everything is laid out here with the stones and everything, figuring out the best way we can get about this.
Yeah.
I do have masonry as one of my skills.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. That's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, you figure out the equivalent of the keystone of a circular. Yeah.
And figure out okay.
And everything just loosens. Yeah. And you can. Oh. I watched a video once of a guy building one of these, and it just went like his bricks just went dun 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 dun, and I just saw that in reverse. Like he just took out the key one in the center and then just putting rings further out.
Yeah.
You get down quite quickly into it's sandy soil now because they've drained so much of London, but what used to be alluvial silt. It's really easy to dig through with your hands. As you start to dig, all 3 of you start to hear a loud camp, horses neighing, cows mooing, people yelling, the clanging of metal, horseshoes being made, smithy noises. That smell gets stronger. You start to smell campfires and forges and hot metal and bodies. Thousands and thousands of bodies. Like alive bodies, just sweaty human beings, right?
Oh, this is that gym you were talking about we had to take the weights from. Gotcha.
Like, I'm sorry, like, you need to be careful about how you're talking about gyms. Like, gyms are like a sacred place for
Oh, no, I
me,
get it.
man.
It's just that it's all pre-shower time though right now. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
You
all
can-
right. I'll let you slide with that pre-shower time comment, okay? But
Hey.
you can taste it. Stew. Thick. Lots of meat. Lots of veg. Your fingers brush aside the last little bit of dirt, and there's this dark wooden spoke.
All right. So we've got this. Now we've got to get this out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this.
You can
So
just-
looking over.
you can just
How long did this
feel.
take? This. How long did it take us to get this?
Less than
what
an
we've got
hour.
to
You
do?
guys have got, I'd say, eight and a half, 9 hours left on the pills. Easy.
Well, how long did it take us getting? So about a half hour or so to get this all dug up
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah, it's not that deep. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So kind of just glancing out towards the center of the oasis, and it's like, how many of them are still out there at lunch?
it was lunch, and they only get half an hour because life's like that.
So,
For the
good-
purpose, yeah,
I-
there's only 2 left. Your uncle is now. He had to come back, but he's
Yeah.
way down at the other end of the park, searching
Yeah.
behind the ruins in that pile of bracken that was there. He's back there with his truncheon, sort of digging
Yep.
around, looking for stuff.
I wonder if it's too late for me to play that.
Try me. I've been known to retcon.
So I do have a card
Yep.
that I'm not so basic. So this might be stretching it a little bit,
Try me.
but and I do it with style.
Okay.
Turn any success into a success and.
Absolutely. Okay. Yep. And a
So-
success and is like a critical success. Yeah. Okay.
So this is my idea, is that first I'm going to tell a lie saying that the piece of Boudica's chariot,
Remember, you can't lie to you can't change the object itself.
I can't change its size.
No.
No.
Okay.
It's
You
a
can't
means that
change
it's a
the
means of-
object itself. You
Okay,
can change,
but I
yeah.
We could. I have a.
Can't-
I have a.
but
I
can't-
have one. I have
can't-
one.
Yeah.
no, I have a branch off idea real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead
Okay.
real quick, and then I'll say mine.
Can I take the object and put it into a different object?
Yes, but then
That's
if you
kind
shrunk
of-
the other object, it wouldn't work.
But I'm not
That's
shrinking
kind
it.
of what I
Okay.
was working
yeah,
with
but
right
yeah, if you
there.
want to put it in backpack or whatever, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
No, I
Okay.
have an even funnier idea.
Okay.
I think you're gonna love it.
Okay.
Is that on the outside of this area is his uncle's motorbike,
Okay.
and I'm gonna lie that the chariot wheel that we found is actually going to replace one of the inner wheels of the bike.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. So yeah.
So we're essentially just switching the places of the two wheels.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well that'll work because that was the other thing I was gonna do was just say, I was gonna put it on my back, underneath my shirt, and then just say, no, it was there the whole time. I just had this weird bump on my back.
Well,
I
we're gonna
mean-
go with because Mick started talking about it first. At some point, Mick, your fingers actually touch the wood of this chariot wheel. And the split second they do, for all three of you, the smells, the sounds, the tastes, the sights change. Because you're there. You're in a war camp. 60 AD. You can see Londinium sitting on the river in the distance. You look around you, Boudica and her war band. Thousands and thousands of Celtic warriors just hyped to burn the city. You know there's only one regiment guarding that city. And historically, Boudica defeats them and burns it. But also historically, right after that, Suetonius attacks with his army and, shall we say, ends the revolution by killing her. You look around and it's 60 AD. There's no phones, no cars, no light posts, no nothing. It's just this huge field full of people and cows and horses and sheep and chickens and goats and the whole camp.
Remind me not to take
So,
these pills anymore.
question.
Yes.
Are we in period appropriate clothing or are we in our normal clothing?
You look down and you are in your normal, regular clothing, but people are just looking at you and their eyes are gliding off like it doesn't matter.
That's that was the next question. Are we actually visible to these people?
You are visible, you can see them, you can hear them, you can understand them. You can tell they're not speaking English, but you can understand them.
So it's just sort of like one of those
That's
Doctor
it, I've
Who
died.
things.
I've died and gone to heaven.
Yes, that's exactly what I wrote in my notes. Doctor Who rules apply. You will always sound correct to the locals. You will always look correct to the locals. If you are taken to task about something you did, it'll be about your behavior, not about the way that you look or sound. So yes,
it's a perception
Doctor.
filter.
Yes, exactly, Doctor. It's this is one of the wonderful things about having the whole thing happen in a hologram. It's literally a filter, right? So yeah, yeah. Part of the magic of the pills.
That's
maybe.
Either the red pills are the trippy ones, or this is working, I guess. But you touch the wheel, so is the wheel here with us?
As
or
you see you look down, Nick, and you've got a piece of it's not the wheel anymore. You're actually holding like a leather rein. And you could sort of follow the rein. There's the horse. There's the chariot. Boudica's chariot is right there. And there are some guards looking at you, Mick. Like, what are you doing?
Okay, so Mick's just gonna be like, "Oh, look, okay, I know this looks bad, but we were charged by Boudica herself to make sure her chariot and everything was good to go for the big battle today. And we're just making sure, being thorough, make sure there's nothing wrong with the chariot so she can go and kill lots of Romans. Because, none of us like the Romans here."
Anybody add to that?
Wish I had some tools.
You have whatever you
I
had
don't
in
know
your
if
pockets
it
when you
matters,
went to this park. So, yeah.
But one of Mick's traits is charming.
Okay.
So
sure. Perfect. Yeah.
And I will basically back him up. I'm like, it's like we just need to make sure that the spokes and the axles are all tight, because those stupid Roman roads, they're always bumpy no matter what.
Are you charming
and
as
I
well,
have,
or did you have a what?
I have deception.
Oh, perfect. So that is also a D8. Perfect. So that's deception. Blake. Yep.
I got deception as well. I can say that I'm checking on the horses.
Perfect.
to
Yeah,
make
you
sure that
guys
the horses are in good shape.
You guys are the crew sent to deal with this. I love it. So the nice thing with this game system is the lie always works. The price you pay for that is resisting the damage that the hologram will generate in you if you don't change it sufficiently. So you'll always make it happen, but sometimes it hurts. So Mick, you're the one telling the lie, right?
Yep.
Okay. Or sorry, you're the one that's trying to be charming. So 3d8s to do this. And we are going, this is, I mean, 3 complete strangers playing with the chariot the night before the big battle. This is at least... I'm going to say it. It's ridiculous. So here's the thing. Ridiculous is a 9 or 10 difficulty. You can't get there with D8s. So does somebody have a card that would let you roll D10s instead? Oh, which brings me, never mind, because we have traveled in time. Therefore, we have entered the official 3rd act of this play, and therefore, all rolls are boosted. So, you get 3d10s instead of 3d8s. However, to make up for that, the difficulty stays the same. It is still ridiculously challenging, but that ridiculous is now not a 9 or a 10, it's now a 10.
10.
Okay.
So you got 3d10s. The lie
And
works. This is just a matter of whether you're going to take damage from it or not.
And we can't play any cards, correct?
Oh, absolutely. You can always play a card.
Okay. I'm burning my last card here.
Okay.
It might be a stretch, but I've seen this before.
Yep.
Recall a similar situation and
Yep.
share it. Boost all actions related to that situation.
Okay. Yep.
So his
How
situation
have you
is
talked shit to Boudica's bodyguards at some point in the past before?
no, I've got one that works.
Please,
So
please.
Mick before he got his biker jacket,
Okay.
went to a biker bar and was looking at all the bikers' bikes. And
Okay.
he doesn't know shit about bikes.
Yep.
But they're shiny bikes. Makes a idiot, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
Starts messing with the bikes.
Okay.
Couple of the bikers come up wondering what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah.
And Mick tells him, hey, I think you're cool bikes. And he essentially just explains he's making sure the gas caps, all the little knick-knacky things
Okay.
that if they go wrong,
Right.
could be catastrophic, but they're not like big things. So
Fair
like
enough.
it's
I'm-
the simple parts of a machine
I'm
that he
buying
can
this.
understand.
I'm buying this completely. Yep, I totally get it. Can I polish your bike? Yep, absolutely.
Pretty much.
So that boosts him further. So now this is exactly how this game is played. You now get 3d12s against a.
I mean, it's still really hard.
10, yeah, and all this just to resist damage. Do you
Yeah.
do you even remember what the original lie is?
Yes, that he told Boudica's guards that
Yes.
essentially they're inspecting the
You're the
chariot
crew,
to make
yeah.
sure nobody
Chariot
has
crew.
sabotaged it, essentially.
Yeah, this is Don't ever let it
Okay.
be said that D&D is the only game where you try and talk your way past the guards into the king's chamber.
Okay,
Right.
3d12s, here we
Yep.
go.
Oh, yay.
Well,
12.
look at that, a success. I love this. 2 failures. I'm not systematically, these failures don't matter, but here we go. You start talking, and the first guard just looks at you and just starts shaking his head like, nope, not buying it. The second guard walks over, puts his hand on the first guard's shoulder and kind of pushes him aside and looks at you and actually puts his hand on his sword. It's a very short, sort of gladius-sized
Yeah.
sword. It's actually, you can look down, it is a gladius. This has been taken off a dead Roman, right?
Yep.
You look down to see that, and then you hear behind you a female voice saying, "Ah, the specialists I ordered." And Mick, you feel a hand on your shoulder. You guys were such like 5'8" and 5'6", right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
hand is, they're way taller than you. Like you can tell from the angle the hand lands.
Yep.
You look down and it's like the fingers kind of come down to here. and they do that friendly squeeze that almost breaks your collarbone,
Yep.
and you kind of can't help yourself, and the other two turn, and it's like witnessing a force of nature. It's like when somebody says druid, this is the level of power that they meant, but this is real. This is a person who has thousands of people's will bent to their will. What they say happens. This is real power in an age where power literally grows out of the end of your sword. And she looks at the three of you and says, "So, if it passes inspection with me," and just turns and walks into this huge tent in the middle. And she's one of those people that as she walks, like the Red Sea of people just parts, and then closes behind her. When they see that you are with her, you get that same thing, but only about half as wide. So you get to kind of come back together a little bit and let you go through, and then close behind you. You are, just before you step through into that tent, kind of look around. 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. And if she says, they'll do whatever she says. Step through into the tent. It's almost empty. It's just a little cot in the corner, a little table with a couple of little, probably religious icons, just a couple little figures on it. And as she steps in, she unbuckles the sword belt and just throws it on the cot and turns around and says, "I assume there's some reason that you're here."
Well, first and foremost, wishing you all the best for tomorrow's raid.
Well, we're going to burn it to the ground.
Yes.
Sounds like a smashing good time.
So you're not Roman?
Nah.
Like, not Roman at all.
So,
No.
in that case, what brings you to the center of my camp?
Well, quite frankly, we legitimately were wanting to make sure that your cart was in perfect shape. We don't want any accidents to slow the charge down.
So you think I should do it then?
Burn Londinium?
Yes.
Yes. They deserve it.
There are a few who say I should deal with the other army first. Suetonius or whatever his name is?
That's so.
Go ahead.
Well.
But that's a standing fight against a Roman army. I mean, Londinium is protected by a regiment.
Like, if I may, your war band here works best in situations where you can control. And right now, your situation against Londinium is something you can control.
Exactly what I was saying.
Like, yes, you said, was it Seronius or
Suetonius?
Suetonius is going to be a problem that's not going to change. But for a person such as yourself, you pride yourself on victory, and you need to continue to give your people victories to continue to grow your band's size and strength. That way, in the future, should you encounter Suetonius, you can potentially have a better situation, one that may be favorable to you.
Oh, we're going to face him, whether he comes to me or I come to him. That son of a bitch and every Roman on this island is going to pay.
And I have no doubts about that. But his day is not today.
Historically, you were quickly told by Callum, and I'm going to give you all three of you remember your schooling. The Boudica burns Londinium, and very shortly thereafter, Suetonius marches in and smashes the shit out of the rebellion and kills everybody.
Yep.
He was still outnumbered, so there is an argument that if she had dealt with Suetonius first, then she would have been able to, if she won, she would have been able to burn Londinium with 0 consequences, and the Romans probably would leave 400 years before they actually did.
But it's a what if.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm just filling in the background so that everybody's, like I said, you're never going to have all the information, but I want you to have the what really happened information so you can decide whether to talk her in or out of what actually happened, because that's what's happening right now.
I mean,
So-
you could.
Let's
You could
go ahead.
let's pop around the
after.
table. Yeah. Let's go with Blake first. Yeah.
Well, in all essence, you could go after this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He take care of him first, so that you don't have to worry about him later, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. You could just come in and take Londonian afterwards.
That's what they've been saying. What's your thoughts? And he points to Ted, or she points to Ted.
Well, we see the size of your forces. Do you know what he has?
The regiment in the city is from Hispania. They're soldiers that have been forced into the job, so they're not going to fight very hard. That's the ones guarding Londinium. Suetonius, however, we outnumber him still 2-1. We can't beat him in an open battle. But what some of my advisors are suggesting is that we raid, we strike from distance, we, as they put it, do what got us here in the first place, and pick him to pieces. But it'll take months. I don't know if they'll follow me that long.
Well,
If they're smart, they will.
She kind of looks out of the tent flap and says, "Have you seen them? Have you talked to them?"
Um,
well, they were talking to us, and yes.
Fine and wondrous people, but for the most part farmers.
So they follow you because you give them hope, you give them victory, you give them a reason to look forward to that next sunrise, because they know there's a chance that the Romans are gone with it.
I give them a
If you-
reason to rage.
And with that raging against them. Now, if you still can give them smaller ones against Suetonius, that might still be able to spread your word. But be careful on that one, because, as you said, you don't want to take him straight on a fight. That could drag out and just be disastrous on a standoff. But a drawn-out thing could happen if...
I heard of a place called the Teutoburg Forest. For those that don't know, 3 complete Roman legions were wiped out in a forest by a group of Gauls who did exactly this. They trapped them on a road in transit, walking, not in fighting position, and over the course of 3 days, they killed 3 entire legions.
Oh wow!
it's arguably
Leading
the
to
largest
Varus,
defeat.
give me back my legions.
Yeah. Arguably
Sure.
the biggest defeat in Roman history.
Yeah.
If you could pull him into a more favorable situation for yourself, then maybe that could be the one to draw even more forces to you, to then not just burn Londinium, burn it, claim it back for Britain.
She starts looking down at a map and sort of tracing forested areas on the map between where Suetonius is and Londinium. Almost muttering to herself, he has to come, doesn't he? He can't wait. He might let me burn it, but he'd have to come. Where would you? And she leans forward over the map, and you realize she's giving 0% of her defense perception to all 3 of you. In fact, she's, come. The map is not large. Please, step forward. and written. It's on an animal skin. This map of Londinium and the forested areas, and she's got a little X's drawn where Suetonius's legion is. So if you were he, how would you come? And I'll let you. I mean, you know, right? At least one of you knows the route that they came by.
Well,
You can feel history just zinging in the background like a guitar string that somebody's plucked in and is just cranking it up.
Yep. Mix is kind of looking over the map, and like I feel like the way history's like working, like hovering over him,
Oh yeah.
it's almost like a glowing line in his eyes.
Oh yeah.
As to the map.
There's forests, there's bridges, there's steep valleys. This is just one ambush point after another after another. All three of you can see this. And I'm going to presume that at some point you all played war games in high school. Your characters, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really winning hand of Stratego.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. The all nines on one side
now,
actually worked for once.
So now, question: did Colum ever tell us if that we can't change history?
Callum never thought you were traveling through history.
Okay.
Yeah.
He just thought you were going to go steal the thing.
Because remember
you
what
were
Callum
supposed
said
to steal the thing and run out of London with it, right?
Because what Callum said is,
yeah.
what Callum said is, any successes that have happened by doing this, they don't exist because there's no proof of it, because you only know the failures. And like what's going on in Mick's like small tiny brain is they can't change any of what happened. Like they have to leave it the way it actually happened.
I'm gonna step out of the characters for just a second, because this is the crux of this entire campaign. This is the moment that you're at now. Do you, with insufficient information to know what's right or wrong, change history, leave history the same, or come up with something else? It's only a game. You have all the time in the world.
I mean, like,
have a think.
So my strategic fun process is that he totally wants to see Boudica kick the Romans' ass, because Rome is both one of the most interesting and most heinous empires in history. So like seeing Rome lose is a win in my book.
Okay.
But so like but on the other side of the coin, this is a war band. Like they're not set up to so if they were to beat Rome, Boudica's not a person who rules peacefully.
History nerd moment. When the Romans did leave, Britain fell apart as an economic entity for hundreds of years. Like they couldn't even trade with each other. They were so completely destroyed by them leaving. So yeah. But this is 400 years earlier. They've only been here 13 years. There's only forts. There's no established, like and 2 of the 3, well, 2.5, because London's about to burn, of the 5 major cities here have been destroyed in the last 3 months.
So what the reason why I said what I said was is that from a historical perspective, Boudica appears to be a person of action and somebody who needs to continually to feed the proverbial beast that is her warband.
As she said, she's got to keep them angry, right? She's got to.
If the beast no longer has a target, what happens next? Because Boudica's not somebody who is going to rule.
Yeah, historically, they turn around and go home. Is what happens next in the British Isles. You beat up the Scots, they kick your ass all the way back to London, and they go, no, stay! And then they go home.
Yeah. So, like, I think if we change history and Boudica should win, I don't know if that change will actually change what happens. Because Boudica as a leader, in my personal opinion, is not somebody who can rule effectively
Fair.
as a holder of lands. She is
Perfect.
what
So-
I call a wartime leader.
Absolutely, a Napoleon.
Her
a general.
She's very similar to like Churchill and other who are great when conflict and things are going bad and they have a target to focus on.
Yep.
But when you remove that target, they're not going to be effective.
Perfect. So, Ted, what's your opinion on?
Well, we don't know what would happen. But if we do this, we still have her make sure she promises if we help her with Suetonius, that she makes sure that she does still burn the city. We know that that side of it will still happen. Quite frankly, the chaos in me says we should probably give her an option herself. Tell her what route we would think that she should mark.
That's all
And
she's
if
asking.
need
Yeah.
be,
Mhm.
and if need be, give her one little extra tidbit of make sure he is drawn in under her terms. Take a smaller force, have them start attacking Londinium. He'll get a runner, he'll get notified, he will come walking into her trap. That we'll point out like here, the whole time coming in, so that when he reaches the main force, they're not burning Londinium yet. They're waiting for him. Because you know what? If this is all a hologram, maybe it can't be changed. Maybe it's all hardwired, hard programmed. Code is set and it is in lock mode. This could be our test to see if this is what Colum is sending us to do. I think he left out a few details. And quite frankly, I'm thinking that we test. She lives through the fight. So I say we put some pins on that map. As long as she promises, Londinium burns.
You can see the flames in her eyes. Londinium burning is like step one, because then the two surviving major ones are going to burn. Then every fort's going to burn. This, for anybody who doesn't know the history of Boudica, they killed her family. So this is as personal as it gets. She is not going to be happy until. Yeah, they killed is. We're just going to stop at killed. But so she was literally not going to be happy until every Roman was at least off the British Isles.
But pointing out to her, I think that maybe if you pay attention to him, to make sure you draw him into your terms, tempt him by letting him get a messenger that Londinium's being burned.
And so you're reinforcing that guerrilla warfare side of it. Blake, you've been quiet.
Oh, I played a card too, but
just another guy named Harry. Thank you. I saw the card. That was you. I wasn't sure who played it. So this is perfect because you've been quiet. So you've been spending this time focusing on Boudica.
I've been focusing on Boudica.
Yeah.
And the map.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the knowledge that I would have from my history books
tracking
and what I've
all
recently
that stuff,
learned and tracking and all that, and trying to see what trying basically to figure out what would be the in my way, what would be the best scenario that would lead to the best possible outcome.
Okay.
Whether it be it more somewhat she's kind of leaning towards both of the gentlemen.
Yep.
At this point, as far as yes, she wants Londinium to burn because she doesn't want the Romans there.
Yep.
But also she wants to make sure she would like to see Boudica succeed as well.
Mm-hmm.
And get what she wants.
Okay.
Without too much trouble.
So
yeah, that's what she's trying to do.
So we're gonna
Same.
we're gonna start with a D10 as your basic die, and this one we're not gonna do harmonies because we're gonna bend a whole bunch of rules on this roll. We're not gonna allow harmonies from the other two because this is a very specific thing. But we're gonna give you that D10 boosted because we're in Act 3, boosted again because of your sizing things up. You spent all this time looking at her, looking at the map, judging her skills, looking outside, like what kind of all that skill and tracking and hunting has come down. So I would like you to roll a d20, and this is an
Okay.
open-ended roll. I don't have a specific hurdle in mind. What we're going to do is the higher you roll, the more effective your plan is going to be.
Okay. Here we go.
So give me a d20.
Oh, yeah!
Ask and you shall receive.
Wow, I love when the dice.
Woo!
I love when the dice
Yeah.
tell the tale. So
The dice are liking me
a
tonight.
number of things happen here. You have a brilliant thought. You combine all your tracking and everything else, all those other moments. It all comes together on this map. In the process, the group of you, because we're going to do this as a group, essentially invent wargaming in 60 AD. So what if they came this way? What if we funneled them this way? And what you end up with is something that actually happened in a couple of different places. When you have a very defined trail, it's a series of traps that lead you to the next trap.
Mm-hmm.
So this goes bang. The logical thing to do is to jump here to defend yourself. But when you jump there, another thing goes bang, and that forces you to jump here, which sets off, and it's just bang, 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 bang. You do the equivalent of that, which is kind of like the Teutoburg Forest, but so much more precise. Because you hit this end of the line and everybody starts to surge towards it. Then you hit this end of the line because there's a big gap, and then you catch them before they turn around and face each other. And you play this out with Boudica just over and over and over. You can see the map is getting worn out. The ink is getting worn out because you've moved the little bits and things, like you're using broken bits of pot and whatever to represent armies, and in the end of it. Mhm. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, this analogy has just been
Oh,
playing
yeah.
in my head
Yeah.
the entire time. Is we are essentially teaching Boudica how to operate what she truly has, which is
Guerrilla.
a pack of wolves.
Yes, guerrilla tactics.
Fighting a bear.
Absolutely. Yep. Guerrilla tactics time. That is exactly what we're teaching. And this makes sense historically too. That's what it's happened so many times historically to people like this. This is how they start raids, cutting supply lines, stealing things, kidnapping people, and then they get too bold and they decide that they can face an army, and then they get run down, which is exactly what happened to Boudica.
Yep.
So over the course of an afternoon and an evening, don't worry, I got a plan. You work out this plan. By the end of it, Boudica herself is lighting candles and lamps to light this map as they sit around. She's ordered food a couple times. The camp around you is just starting to buzz and buzz and buzz, and then she starts calling in her lieutenants and giving them orders for how to set up all of these ambushes, this train of ambushes. And at the end of it, she kicks back, sits on that little cot, looks at the map and just nods. Looks up at the three of you and says, "It's been quite a day, hasn't it?"
And then some.
Yeah.
At least one of you realizes at this point you're way past the 10 hours.
Yeah.
You can't change anything using your virus anymore. She looks at you and says, "Will you be sticking around for the victory dinner? Or I get the feeling you're not supposed to be here."
Well, we'll let you know. You've got a lot of sleep to get up, because you would be busy.
And she grins and says, "I don't know why you wanted it. Go ahead and take the cart." And one of the guards by the door goes, and she just looks, and he's like, "Yep, yep." Almost made a face in front of Boudica. Oops. Yeah. Bickus, dickus. It's like that one of those moments, right? It's like,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you sure?
To be fair, it's a bit flashy to be riding around in a forest, isn't it?
Bro?
And a bit cumbersome.
Well, if nothing else, maybe we can actually give some false leads if they see us riding around on it. Thinking you elsewhere, maybe.
And she nods and says, I'm going to remember you. What were your names? And she kind of looks over at the scribe, like, get this down. What were your names?
Ted.
Blake?
Name's just Mick, but just one last thing. Take it as you will. But regardless of what happens with your like this plan and stuff, don't forget the good times. Don't forget the times before. Because that's what's going to make you great, not just being a warband leader. Remember what it means to be a mother.
And all those
and then I think
smells come back into the tent. All that noise comes back into the tent. All that life, the reason why all of them are fighting just pours down through the history. And it's like that first moment when you got to 23 Nowhere Road, things start to just get hazy. And you can feel the only thing that stays, the only thing that you can see clear as day is that chariot and those two white horses.
Oh, wow.
I think our Uber's here.
Yeah. Like,
Well, okay, quite frankly, I have to say, it'd take a miracle to get us out of here.
And with yet another reference, you step outside, step onto Boudica's cart, festooned as it is with the impedimentia of war, the trophies that she's taken from the Romans up until now, knowing that you've changed everything. You ride away, and the camera does that high-speed zoom up, and time changes too, and you see the forces deploy in those valleys and on those ridges and in those trees that you saw before. You watch that little row of Romans just dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. You watch Londinium burn. You watch the two other cities burn. You watch as one by one the revolution that she was trying to start starts. Forts all over as you pan out and the sky turns to the darkness. The Terminator passes across Britain, the British Isles, and you see the fires as each of these British Roman forts burns. And in 60 A.D., Suetonius and only a handful of his men make it to the coast and are rescued. And the powers that be decide Rome will never go to that cursed isle again. Meanwhile, the three of you riding off into the darkness. It just
Are any of these trophies golden?
Lots of them are, yes.
Yeah, okay. One of those is making it into my
Oh, yeah.
pocket.
Like
Is that all possible?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
This is legit. I mean, it would be. There was actually several eagles taken. So I'll give you a previously. Actually, let's do the one. No, I'm going to save that. You get just the bent top part of a Roman eagle, so there's no plaque on it. You don't need. There's no SPQR, and you don't know the division.
Which one?
But there's the top bit, like sort of the head and the four arrows, part of that solid gold stuck to the front. The rest of it, The rest of it is gorier in nature. This was a very personal hatred that she
Yep.
had. So we'll give it that one honking big chunk of gold.
That's gonna make it into the backpack.
Yep, absolutely. And you shut it, just about do that, like the garbage bag over the shoulder, fall backwards thing. But yes, and as you ride off into the dark, that dark just gets thicker and thicker and descends and descends. That smoke disappears behind you. The smell of the war camp, the smell of history just fades. It goes completely dark, too dark. There's no light, no stars, no nothing, just a black void, and then bang! You're back in the park, in St. Dunstan's Park. And the bricks are on the ground in a rough circle around the hole. No chariot wheel to be found, although there is a massive weight in your backpack that lets you know that piece is still there. And from that little entrance, that little sort of space in the trees, Mick's uncle pokes his head around with a little cup of coffee in his hand and says, you're going to want to put that back before you leave, or I'll have to write you up. Mick?
And makes us, don't worry, Uncle. We got it under control.
And he walks away. And as you start putting the bricks back, as you put the last one in, click, there's just a whiff. Just a whiff of stew. And that is where we're going to drop the curtain on tonight. We'll get you back to Callum and tear him to pieces next week. But so, thank you all. You guys had a slight heads up that this was going to be a time traveling thing, but it was only the slightest of heads up, and I didn't give you enough to sort of play with. So I would like to do the end thing, the thank yous, before I forget. So thank you. We're going to do it in reverse order this time. Thank you so much, Sean, for coming and playing a system you hadn't played before with people you hadn't played with before on stream. It's thank you. I keep telling people they're brave when they do this, and people, but you do it all the time, so it's not, but it is. It takes a level of bravery to do this. So thank you very, very much for doing this with us. And I've got to watch you tonight just settle in. It was like, I'm not quite sure I'm not sure how this chair fits, but oh, there it is. And then you just pulled the lever and the lazy boy went back, and I thought you fall into the rules. And it's like, yeah, I got you. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it very much.
This is definitely been a blast. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Primus, Mick. I saw the accent coming at the end. Mick's Irish, right? At some point,
a little bit. I can't do a great Irish accent, but
and it's going to be really hard to do an Irish accent while I'm doing a Scottish one. I get it, but yeah, in my head, Mick is he's just this Irish punk kid, and I love him to death. He's not smart enough to know that he hasn't got a brain worth two brain cells to rub together, and yet he's the one that made two major connections tonight. So he's got this sort of Clouseau element to him, like he's too stupid to fail. I love it. So
funny thing is, you want to know what his other trait is? Intuitive.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, it makes absolutely sense, because you're making those huge jumps that no logic covers, right? Perfect. So we'll give you that extra points for great role playing. And Solar. Oh, it's good to play with you again. It's been a long time since you've been in one of our games. The last one was kind of a straight up D&D game, so it was great fun to watch you in this too. I don't get this. I don't get how this system works. What do you mean I get to tell you how this works? What do you mean I get to plan? I don't understand. But again, all three of you, I watched about 45 minutes and it was just this click, click, click. And it was just watching you just stop thinking about the rules and just be the players and just play the game. So thank you all so much for that. Thank you to chat. Holy crap. Not only was there a bunch of you tonight and lots of chatting in there. I didn't type in a word all night. I was too busy. But thank you all for joining. Thank you all for adding. And holy cow, the subs and bits tonight. Thank you to everybody that had to do that. It really does help offset the costs. I mean, there's not a lot of costs, but it helps. So thank you every single one of you that does that. I appreciate it every single time. To anybody watching the VOD, thank you. Thank you for watching all the way to here. And if you're watching on YouTube and you watched all the way to here, please hit the like button. Some people ask at the start, and I never understood that. You didn't see it yet. You don't know if you liked it, but you watched all the way to here. So I'm going to assume you liked it, or you can't find the off button. Either way, please hit the like button and hit the little bell too, because we post stuff on an erratic basis, to say the least. In other words, when I remember. So if you hit that bell, then you'll be reminded every time something comes up. Other than that, there's only one thing left. My favorite part, as much fun as everything that we just did is, we built all this wonderful joy and we shared it all for 2 hours. And now I want to ask you to do that for the next week. So until next time, please, if you've got the energy, be kind. But if you haven't got the spoons to be kind, please, until next time, be nice to each other. Good night.
All right, everybody.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night, everybody.